I want to share with you a profound truth about the nature of hatred and your relationship to it. What others feel toward you, their hatred, their judgment, their criticism, is nothing but their state of consciousness made visible. It has nothing to do with who you truly are. Let me tell you a great secret. When others hate you, they are not actually hating you. They are hating a concept they have created in their own consciousness. They are hating an imagination they have constructed. They are hating their own projection. In the Bible it states the world cannot hate you, but it hates me because they testify that its works are evil. This is not speaking of a physical person being hated. It is speaking of the state of consciousness that rises above the world's limitations and judgments. Consider this profound truth. When you understand that others' hatred is merely their state of consciousness externalized, you are freed from the need to change their minds or win their approval. You are liberated to occupy the state of consciousness you choose. You see, when someone expresses hatred toward you, what is really happening? They are showing you their state of consciousness. They are revealing their limitations, their fears, their own inner conflicts. Their hatred has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their state. Let me share with you what I call the law of projected consciousness. Whatever others project onto you, whether love or hate, acceptance or rejection, is merely their state of consciousness made visible. You are not the target of their hatred. You are the screen upon which they project their state. Consider this deeply when you understand this truth. Others' hatred loses its power over you. Their judgment becomes meaningless. Their criticism becomes irrelevant. For you understand that they are not seeing you, they are seeing their own state reflected back to them. Let me tell you about something I call the state of divine indifference. This is not coldness or lack of caring. This is the state where you are so secure in your own consciousness that others' opinions, whether love or hate, have no power to move you from your chosen state. This is what the scripture means when it says, let them alone, they be blessed. You don't fight against their hatred. You don't try to change their minds. You simply remain in your chosen state, allowing them to occupy whatever state they choose. Now, here is the wonderful news. Their hatred can actually serve as a confirmation that you are occupying a state beyond their current understanding. Their rejection can be a sign that you have transcended the limitations they still accept as real. Let me share with you what I call the law of transcendent consciousness. When you occupy a state that transcends others' limitations, their hatred is often automatic. They hate what they don't understand. They reject what they cannot comprehend within their current state. But remember, their hatred is their limitation, not yours. Their rejection is their boundary, not yours. Their judgment is their prison, not yours. Consider what the scripture means when it says, blessed are ye, when men shall hate you. This is not celebrating hatred. This is acknowledging that when you occupy a state beyond others' understanding, their hatred is often inevitable and ultimately irrelevant. Let me share with you another powerful truth. When you are secure in your own state of consciousness, others' hatred becomes a tool for your growth, rather than a weapon for your destruction. Their rejection becomes confirmation of your transcendence, rather than evidence of your unworthiness. Think about this deeply. Every great advancement in human consciousness has been met with hatred. Every expansion of human potential has been resisted. Every breakthrough has been rejected until it became the new normal. Let me share with you another profound dimension of this truth. Consider what happens in your consciousness when you encounter others' hatred. Most people make what I call the fundamental error. They try to escape the hatred, prove themselves worthy, or fight against the rejection. But I tell you this, all of these responses come from accepting their hatred as having power over you. Instead, let me share with you what I call the law of conscious elevation. When others hate you, use their hatred as a stepping stone to elevate your consciousness even higher. In the Bible it states, love your enemies, bless them that curse you. This is not mere moral advice. This is a profound psychological law. When you can remain in a state of love while others hate, when you can maintain your chosen state while others reject you, you are demonstrating mastery over consciousness. Consider this deeply. When others hate you, they are actually giving you an opportunity to prove the power of your consciousness. They are providing you with a chance to demonstrate that external conditions have no power over your internal state. Let me share with you what I call the law of opposite assumption. When faced with hatred, instead of contracting in fear or expanding in anger, assume the exact opposite state. If they project hatred, assume love. If they project rejection, assume acceptance. If they project limitation, assume abundance. You see, most people make the mistake of meeting hatred with hatred, rejection with rejection, judgment with judgment. But I tell you this, when you do that, you are accepting and energizing the very state you wish to transcend. Consider what the scripture means when it says, judge not, that ye be not judged. This is not about morality. This is about the law of consciousness. Whatever state you occupy, whether judgment or acceptance, hatred or love, becomes your experience. Let me share with you what I call the state of divine detachment. This is the state where others' hatred has no power to disturb your peace, where their rejection has no ability to shake your certainty, where their judgment has no capacity to alter your chosen state. This is what the Bible means when it says, be in the world but not of it. You acknowledge the existence of others' hatred while refusing to enter into its state. You recognize their rejection while remaining in your chosen state of acceptance. Think about this profound truth. When others hate you, they are actually telling you more about their limitations than about your worth. Their hatred is a declaration of their boundaries, not your value. Their rejection is a statement of their fears, not your potential. Let me share with you what I call the law of consciousness reflection. Whatever others project onto you is merely a reflection of their own consciousness. Their hatred reflects their limitations. Their rejection reflects their fears. Their judgment reflects their insecurities. But here's the wonderful news. You are not their reflection. You are not their projection. You are not their imagination. You are the pure awareness that can choose which state to occupy, regardless of their projections. Consider this deeply. When others hate you, they are actually giving you a gift. The gift of clarity about which state you choose to occupy. Will you enter their state of hatred? Or will you maintain your state of love? Will you accept their rejection? Or will you remain in acceptance? Let me share with you what I call the law of conscious choice. In every moment of hatred, in every instance of rejection, in every experience of judgment, you have a choice. You can either enter their state or maintain your own. This is what the scripture means when it says, choose you this day whom ye shall serve. Will you serve the state of hatred they project? Or will you serve the state of love you choose to occupy? Think about this. Every time others hate you, they are actually presenting you with an opportunity to demonstrate the power of your consciousness. Every rejection is a chance to prove that external conditions cannot dictate your internal state. Let me share with you what I call the state of divine immunity. This is the state where others' hatred has no more power to affect your consciousness than a shadow has power to affect the sun. Their rejection has no more ability to shake your state than a wave has power to shake the ocean. This is what the Bible means when it says, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. The state you choose to occupy is greater than any state others project onto you. Consider this profound truth when you truly understand that others' hatred is merely their state made visible. You are freed from the need to defend, explain, or justify. You are liberated to simply be, to occupy your chosen state, regardless of their projections. Let me share with you another profound dimension of this truth. In the Bible it states, if the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. This is not about a personal hatred. It's about the world's natural resistance to any consciousness that transcends its limitations. Consider what I call the law of elevated consciousness. When you elevate your consciousness beyond the common state, when you refuse to accept the limitations others embrace, when you choose to live from a higher state, hatred from those still by limitations is natural. You see, their hatred is actually a confirmation that you're no longer operating at their level of consciousness. Their rejection is evidence that you've transcended the state they're currently occupying. Their criticism proves you've moved beyond their limitations. Let me share with you what I call the principle of divine distinction. When others hate you, they are actually helping you distinguish yourself from the mass consciousness. They are helping you confirm your occupation of a higher state. I think about this deeply. Every prophet, every visionary, every individual who has dared to live from a higher state of Ahadis has passed Not because they were wrong, but because they were operating from a state beyond the world's current understanding. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you." Don't be surprised by hatred. Don't be shocked by rejection. Don't be dismayed by criticism. These are merely signs that you're no longer conforming to the limitations of mass consciousness. Let me share with you another powerful principle I call the law of persistent elevation. When faced with hatred, don't descend to the state of those who hate you. Don't drop down to their level of consciousness. Instead, use their hatred as momentum to rise even higher. You see, most people make this crucial mistake. When faced with hatred, they try to defend themselves. They try to prove themselves. They try to justify their position. But I tell you this, no defense is necessary when you understand the law of consciousness. Consider this profound truth. Those who hate you are not actually seeing you. They are seeing their own limitations reflected back to them. They are seeing their own fears magnified. They are seeing their own boundaries challenged. Let me share with you what I call a state of divine detachment. This is the state where you are so secure in your consciousness that others' hatred becomes merely interesting rather than impactful. Their rejection becomes informative rather than influential. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." This is not about pardoning enemies. This is about understanding that those who hate you are operating from a state of limited consciousness. They literally know not what they do. Let me share with you another powerful technique I call the consciousness of transcendence. When others express hatred toward you, instead of reacting, pause and ask yourself, what state of consciousness is being revealed here? What limitations are being exposed? You see, their hatred is actually a gift. It's showing you exactly what states of consciousness you've transcended. It's revealing precisely what limitations you've moved beyond. It's confirming exactly how far you've elevated your own consciousness. Consider what happens when you shine a light into darkness. The darkness doesn't attack the light. It simply cannot comprehend it. This is exactly what happens when you operate from a higher state of consciousness. Those in lower states cannot comprehend your state, so they resist it. Let me share with you what I call the law of conscious resistance. The more you elevate your consciousness, the more resistance you will face from those who haven't elevated theirs. The higher you rise, the more those still bound by limitations will resist your rise. But here's the wonderful truth. Their resistance is actually helping you. Their hatred is actually serving you. Their rejection is actually confirming you. For every expression of hatred is merely showing you that you're no longer bound by the limitations they still accept as real. Think about this: when someone hates you for living your truth, for expressing your authentic state, for occupying a higher consciousness, they are actually helping you strengthen your conviction in your chosen state. Let me share with you another profound aspect of this truth. Consider what I call the law of conscious polarization. When you occupy a state that transcends common limitations, you naturally create polarization. Some will be drawn to your light, while others will resist it with hatred. In the Bible it states, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." This is not about physical conflict. It's about the natural division that occurs when you dare to occupy a higher state of consciousness. You see, when you refuse to conform to limitations, when you choose to live from an elevated state, you automatically create what I call the contrast of consciousness. Your very presence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to others their own limitations, their own fears, their own boundaries. Let me share with you what I call the principle of conscious magnetism. The more firmly you occupy your chosen state, the more you will attract both intense love and intense hatred. Those ready to elevate their consciousness will be drawn to you, while those committed to their limitations will resist you. Consider this deeply. Their hatred is actually a form of tribute. It's an unconscious acknowledgement that you've transcended the limitations they still accept as real. Their rejection is actually a confirmation that you're no longer bound by the constraints they still embrace. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Ye are the light of the world." When you shine your light, when you live from your elevated state of consciousness, you automatically create contrast. Light doesn't fight darkness, it simply reveals what darkness has been hiding. Let me share with you another powerful principle I call the law of conscious authenticity. The more authentic you are to your chosen state, the more polarization you will create. Some will recognize and resonate with your truth, while others will react with hatred to what they cannot understand. You see, most people make this fundamental error. They try to dim their light to avoid others' hatred. They try to shrink their consciousness to escape others' rejection. They try to conform their state to avoid others' criticism. But I tell you this, dimming your light doesn't serve anyone. Shrinking your consciousness doesn't help anyone. Conforming your state doesn't benefit anyone. The world needs your light in its full intensity, even if that light triggers others' hatred. Let me share with you what I call the state of divine authenticity. This is the state where you are so secure in your chosen consciousness that others' hatred becomes irrelevant to your expression. Their rejection becomes meaningless to your expansion. Their criticism becomes powerless against your truth. This is what the Bible means when it says, "Let your light so shine before men." This is not about seeking attention or provoking reaction. It's about being authentically true to your elevated state of consciousness, regardless of how others respond. Consider this profound truth. When you allow others' hatred to dim your light, you're not just denying yourself, you're denying those who need your light to find their way. When you let others' rejection shrink your consciousness, you're not just limiting yourself, you're limiting those who could be inspired by your example. Let me share with you what I call the law of conscious responsibility. Once you understand that others' hatred is their limitation, not yours, you have a responsibility to maintain your elevated state. Their hatred doesn't give you permission to descend to their level of consciousness. Think about this. Every time you maintain your elevated state in the face of hatred, you're demonstrating what's possible. Every time you stay true to your consciousness despite rejection, you're showing others that they too can transcend limitations. Let me share with you what I call the principle of conscious elevation. When others hate you, they're actually providing you with an opportunity to demonstrate the power of elevated consciousness. Their hatred becomes your chance to show that external conditions need not affect internal state. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Love your enemies, do good to them that hate you." This is not about being nice to those who hate you. It's about maintaining your elevated state of consciousness, regardless of how others react to it. Consider what happens when you remain in love while others hate, when you stay in peace while others attack, when you maintain joy while others reject. You're not just preserving your state, you're demonstrating the power of consciousness over circumstances. Consider what I call the law of conscious expansion. When others hate you, they actually provide you with an opportunity to expand your consciousness even further. Their hatred becomes a catalyst for your growth. In the Bible, it states, "Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you." This is not celebrating persecution. It's recognizing that opposition can serve as a powerful force for expanding your consciousness. You see, when faced with hatred, most people contract. They shrink. They retreat. But I tell you this, hatred can be the very force that pushes you to expand beyond your current limitations, to occupy even higher states of consciousness. Let me share with you what I call the principle of conscious transformation. Every instance of hatred you encounter is actually an invitation to transform your consciousness. Every rejection is an opportunity to deepen your understanding. Every criticism is a chance to strengthen your state. Consider this deeply. Those who hate you are actually serving as unconscious agents of your expansion. Their hatred provides the resistance against which you can strengthen your conscious power. Their rejection offers the contrast through which you can clarify your chosen state. This is what the scripture means when it says, "The stone which the builders rejected has become the head of the corner." Your very rejection by others can become the foundation of your greatest strength. Let me share with you another powerful principle I call the law of conscious immunity. The more you understand that others' hatred is their stake, not yours, the more immune you become to its effects. Their rejection loses its power to disturb your peace. Their criticism fails to shake your certainty. You see, most people make this crucial error. They try to protect themselves from hatred by building walls, by creating defenses, by establishing barriers. But I tell you this, true immunity comes not from protection, but from understanding. Consider what I call the state of divine understanding. This is the state where you so completely understand the nature of consciousness that others' hatred becomes merely interesting rather than threatening. Their rejection becomes instructive rather than destructive. This is what the Bible means when it says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." The truth that sets you free is the understanding that others' hatred is their stake, their limitation, their boundary, not yours. Let me share with you what I call the principle of conscious selection. When others hate you, you have a choice in every moment. You can either enter their state of hatred, or you can maintain your chosen state of love. You can accept their rejection, or you can remain in acceptance. Think about this profound truth. Every time others express hatred toward you, they are actually presenting you with an opportunity to choose your state of consciousness. Their hatred becomes the backdrop against which you can demonstrate your conscious power. Let me share with you what I call the law of conscious reflection. Whatever others project onto you, whether hatred, whether love, rejection, or acceptance, is merely a reflection of their state of consciousness. You are the mirror, not the reflection. This is what the scripture means when it says, "Judge not, that ye be not judged." When you understand that all judgment is self-judgment, that all hatred is self-hatred, that all rejection is self-rejection, you are freed from the need to react to others' projections. Consider this: when someone hates you, they are actually showing you their relationship with themselves. When they reject you, they are revealing their rejection of aspects of themselves. When they criticize you, they are expressing their own inner critic. Let me share with you what I call the principle of conscious compassion. When you truly understand that others' hatred comes from their limitations, their fears, their boundaries, you can actually feel compassion for them while maintaining your elevated state. This is not weak compassion that compromises your state. This is strong compassion that understands while remaining unmoved. This is clear compassion that recognizes the source of hatred while refusing to enter its state. Think about this. Every time someone hates you for living your truth, for expressing your light, for occupying your chosen state, they are actually showing you where they feel most limited, most afraid, most bound. The universe guides you toward greatness through one fundamental principle. Imagination creates reality. This is not poetry or metaphor, but the most practical of all practical facts. The world you perceive externally is nothing more than your own consciousness pushed out. Every circumstance, every person, every detail of your life exists first within you before it manifests without. Tonight, I wish to impress upon you that the universe, that infinite intelligence some call God, is not separate from you, directing your path from afar. Rather, it is your own wonderful human imagination, that divine faculty within you that creates and sustains all that you experience. Your imagination is God in action, and through its proper use, you manifest greatness beyond measure. Consider for a moment what imagination truly is. It is not idle fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the very substance of reality, the creative power through which all things are made. When you imagine, you are literally tuning into the frequency of creation itself. You are participating in the divine act of bringing forth worlds. Now, listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you contradicts everything you have been taught about causation. You have been told that what you observe in the outer world is the cause of your inner states. That poverty causes you to feel poor. That illness causes you to feel unwell. That loneliness causes you to feel unloved. This is entirely backward. Your inner states, your assumptions, your dominant feelings, these are the causes of all outer conditions. The universe guides you by responding unerringly to your state of consciousness. If you persist in the feeling of being wealthy, the outer world must reshape itself to match that inner conviction. If you dwell in the assumption of perfect health, your body will conform. If you live from the state of being deeply loved, relationships will transform, or new ones will appear to reflect that state. This is law, as certain as gravity. It cannot fail, for consciousness is the only reality, and all else is merely its shadow. The outer world has no choice but to mirror faithfully what you hold to be true in consciousness. This is how the universe guides you, not by external signs or omens, but by the perfect correlation between your inner and outer worlds. Now, many of you sit here tonight wondering if this is true, why have my dreams not manifested? Why does greatness elude me? The answer is both simple and profound. You have not yet fully occupied the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. You visit it occasionally in imagination, but you do not live there. You do not sleep in that state night after night, feeling its reality so intensely that experience anything else would seem impossible. Let me share with you the perfect technique for manifesting greatness. Before you sleep each night, bring your attention completely to the end, the fulfillment of your desire. See it not as something that will happen in some vague future, but as something that has already happened. Feel the satisfaction, the relief, the joy of attainment. Ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already a fact? Then capture that feeling and fall asleep in it. In that drowsy state between waking and sleeping, your conscious mind relaxes its guard, and your subconscious becomes impressionable. What you impress upon it then must objectify in your world. This is not suggestion or self-hypnosis in the ordinary sense. This is entering the state of the wish fulfilled, and your subconscious mind, which is God in you, will move heaven and earth to externalize that state. Remember always that creation is finished. All possible states exist now. You do not create your desired state. You simply select it by occupying it in imagination. When you enter a state in consciousness, you automatically create a bridge of incidents that will lead to its physical expression. The universe guides you unfailingly along this bridge. I recall a young woman who attended my lectures years ago. She desired to be married to a specific man, but he showed no interest in her. Night after night, she fell asleep feeling the wedding ring on her finger, hearing friends congratulate her, feeling the presence of her husband beside her in bed. Within 3 months, against all outer evidence, that very man proposed to her. The universe guided her by responding to her dominant state of consciousness. Now, some will say this is mere coincidence. Others will claim she somehow influenced the man psychologically. Both miss the point entirely. She did not change the man, she changed herself. In changing her concept of self, seeing herself as the beloved wife rather than the ignored admirer, she entered a new relationship with the entire universe, including that man. He had no choice but to play the part assigned to him in her revision of self. This brings us to another crucial aspect of how the universe guides you. It responds not to your desires, but to your concept of self. You may desire wealth fervently, but if you maintain a self-concept of one who struggles financially, your desire will be frustrated. The universe guides you according to who you believe yourself to be. Therefore, the greatest act of manifestation is the transformation of your self-concept. When you truly know yourself to be great, greatness must follow, as surely as night follows day. This is not egotism or delusion. It is aligning with your divine nature. For you are not merely a human being seeking spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Let us explore this further. The self-concept is formed of your habitual thoughts and feelings about yourself. These thoughts are often so deeply ingrained that you accept them without question. I am unlucky. I am not creative. Success is difficult for me. These are not facts, they are assumptions. And all assumptions can be changed through the conscious use of imagination. Revise your self-concept by mentally constructing scenes that imply you are who you wish to be. If you wish to be wealthy, create a scene where you are discussing your financial abundance with a friend. Make it brief, make it natural, but most importantly, make it imply the fulfillment of your desire. Repeat this scene until it feels more real than its absence. The universe guides you through the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true, consciously or unconsciously, will harden into fact in your experience. This is why casual negative assumptions are so dangerous. When you say nothing ever works out for me, you are instructing the universe to ensure exactly that outcome. Your word, your assumption, is quite literally your wand of fulfillment. Now let me address something that troubles many seekers. The matter of effort. There is a prevailing belief that manifestation requires strain, visualization exercises of patience repeated thousands of times. I tell you, the universe guides you not through effort, but through the intensity of your conviction. One moment of complete acceptance is worth more than years of trying. The feeling is the secret. When you capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in it, you have found the secret of manifestation. The feeling is both the means and the end. Feel wealth, and you will be wealthy. Feel health, and you will be healthy. Feel love, and you will be loved. The universe responds not to your words or actions, but to your dominant feeling tones. Consider a man who desires promotion at work. He may affirm daily that he deserves advancement. He may visualize sitting in the executive office. But if his feeling tone is one of unworthiness or anxiety, these will be the seeds that bear fruit. Instead, let him capture the feeling of satisfaction that would be his upon achieving the promotion. Let him feel the handshakes of congratulation, the pride in telling his family, the confidence as he occupies his new position. This feeling, persisted in, will draw to him the circumstances necessary for its fulfillment. The universe guides you by responding to your emotional states. Emotion is energy in motion, the propelling force behind manifestation. Your desires will manifest not when you want them most desperately, but when you feel most naturally that they are already yours. This brings us to another critical point. Manifestation occurs most readily in the absence of desperation. When you need something so badly that you are consumed by the need, you are actually affirming its absence. You are declaring to the universe, I do not have this, and my happiness depends upon getting it. This state of consciousness can only produce more of its own lack. Instead, cultivate a state of grateful acceptance. Even before your desire appears physically, thank the universe for its fulfillment. Live in the calm certainty that what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify. This attitude of relaxed confidence is magnetic to your good. I once knew a man who had been unemployed for months. He came to me in desperation, having tried everything to secure work. I instructed him to fall asleep each night, as though he were returning from a satisfying day at a wonderful job, not visualizing a specific employer, but feeling the satisfaction of meaningful work and financial security. Within 2 weeks, he received 3 job offers, one of which was far better than anything he had previously imagined possible. The universe guided him not through his frantic search, but through his assumption of employment as an already established fact. Now, there is another aspect of universal guidance that is often overlooked, the matter of timing. Many abandon their manifestation practices because their desires do not materialize on their preferred schedule. They fail to understand that the universe operates according to divine timing, not human impatience. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check its progress. You water it, you provide the conditions for growth, and you trust in the natural process of germination. So it is with your desires. Plant them in consciousness through the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Then allow the universe to bring them to fruition in its perfect timing. This requires faith, not blind faith in an external power, but faith in the law of consciousness itself. It requires knowing that what is impressed in consciousness must express. There is no question of if, only when, and the when is determined not by calendars and clocks, but by the intensity and persistence of your assumption. Let me share with you now one of the most powerful manifestation techniques I have ever discovered: revision. The past exists only in memory, and memory can be altered through the conscious use of imagination. If today has brought disappointment or failure, revise it before you sleep. Replace the unwanted event with one that would have satisfied you. Feel the revised scene as vividly as you felt the original. This practice does something remarkable. It alters not just your memory, but the trajectory of your manifestation. For whatever you take with you into sleep impresses your subconscious mind, and your subconscious knows no difference between an actual event and one vividly imagined. By revising the day, you literally rewrite your past and consequently your future. I recall a businessman who had botched an important presentation, losing a significant contract. That night, instead of replaying the failure, he revised the scene. In imagination, he heard the client praising his presentation and eagerly signing the contract. He fell asleep in this assumption. 3 days later, the client called unexpectedly, saying he had reconsidered and wanted to move forward after all. This was not coincidence. This was the law of revision at work. The universe guides you to the principle of revision by allowing you to alter the past in consciousness. thereby changing the patterns that determine your future. Your past is simply your beliefs about what has occurred, and beliefs can be changed. Now, as we consider how the universe guides you to manifest greatness, we must address a fundamental truth. There is no one else. There is only consciousness expressing itself in myriad forms. What you see as separate individuals are really aspects of your own consciousness pushed out. This is not solipsism. It is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, and your individual consciousness is one with the universal consciousness. This understanding transforms how you relate to others in your manifestation practice. You do not need to change others, you need only change your consciousness of them. As you revise your concept of another person, they must conform to your revised concept, not through manipulation, but through the law of consciousness. If there is someone in your life who seems hostile or uncooperative, do not try to change their behavior directly. Instead, create a scene in imagination where they are exactly as you would like them to be. Hear them saying the words you long to hear. Feel the satisfaction of harmonious interaction. Persist in this assumption, and they will change, not because you have controlled them, but because you have changed your consciousness of them. The universe guides you by reflecting back to you your consciousness of others. Everything and everyone in your world is yourself pushed out. Change yourself, your assumptions about your relationship with anything, and the thing itself must change. This brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect of universal guidance, the recognition that you are not manifesting things or conditions at all. You are manifesting states of consciousness. The outer world is a shadow, a reflection of inner states. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes effortless. Instead of struggling to change conditions, simply enter the state of consciousness that would be yours if conditions were already changed. Live from that state. Make it your dwelling place. The conditions must then rearrange themselves to match your new state of consciousness. I know a woman who desired financial freedom. Rather than focusing on specific dollar amounts or investment strategies, she cultivated the state of consciousness of one who is financially free. She felt the relief, the security, the generosity that financial freedom would bring. Within 6 months, through a series of events that no one could have predicted, she received an inheritance, a promotion, and an investment opportunity that together created exactly the financial freedom she had assumed in consciousness. The universe guided her not to specific actions, but to the embodiment of a state from which the right actions naturally flowed. This is crucial to understand. Right action follows right consciousness. When you dwell in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you will be guided unerringly to take the actions that lead to its manifestation. Now let us address an aspect of manifestation that troubles many. What of those desires that seem impossible? What of physical healing when doctors have pronounced a condition incurable? What of financial abundance when one is deeply in debt? What of love when one has experienced nothing but rejection? I tell you this, nothing is impossible to the one who understands the law of consciousness. The word impossible exists only in the dictionary of fools. In consciousness, all things are possible. The universe guides you beyond seeming impossibilities by urging you to revise your concept of what is possible. When something appears impossible, it is not the thing itself that blocks you. It is your belief in its impossibility. Change the belief, and you change the outcome. This is not positive thinking. This is the recognition of the absolute malleability of reality in response to consciousness. Consider the biblical story of the centurion who came to Jesus seeking healing for his servant. Jesus offered to go to the servant, but the centurion replied, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof. Just say the word and my servant will be healed." Jesus marveled at his faith, saying, "Go your way. As you have believed, so let it be done for you." And the servant was healed in that very hour. This story illustrates a profound truth. Healing, indeed, all manifestation, occurs not through external intervention, but through faith. And faith is nothing more than the unquestioning acceptance of a state as if it were already real. The centurion did not doubt. He knew that consciousness was the one and only reality. The universe guided him by responding to his conviction. So it is with you. Whatever you accept fully in consciousness must manifest in your experience. If it has not yet appeared, you have not yet fully accepted it. There remains some doubt, some contradiction in your consciousness that prevents its expression. The solution is not to try harder, but to achieve a deeper acceptance. Fall in love with the state of the wish fulfilled. Make it so natural, so much a part of you, that to experience anything else would seem strange. This complete naturalization of the state is the secret of effortless manifestation. Now, let me share with you what may be the most important insight of all. The universe guides you to greatness through self-love, not the narcissistic self-absorption that passes for self-love in popular discourse, but the profound recognition of your divine nature. When you truly love yourself, when you recognize yourself as the operant power, the God in action within your world, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. For self-love creates a consciousness of worthiness, and the universe can give you only what you believe yourself worthy of receiving. Many seekers struggle with manifestation because at deepest level they do not believe themselves deserving of their desires. They may affirm abundance while unconsciously feeling unworthy of it. They may visualize perfect health while secretly believing they deserve illness as punishment for some past misdeed. These contradictions in consciousness must be resolved before manifestation can occur. The universe guides you by reflecting your self-concept with perfect accuracy. As you cultivate genuine self-love, not as a technique, but as the recognition of your true identity, your outer world must reflect that love back to you in countless forms. Practice seeing yourself through the eyes of love. Speak to yourself as you would to someone precious beyond measure. Forgive yourself completely for all perceived failures and shortcomings. As you do this, you raise your consciousness to a level where manifestation becomes spontaneous and joyful. I once counseled a woman who had spent decades trying various manifestation techniques without success. When we explored her consciousness, we discovered a deep-seated belief that she was fundamentally flawed and undeserving of good. This belief, operating beneath her conscious awareness, negated all her affirmations and visualizations. I instructed her to spend 30 days practicing radical self-love. Each night before sleep, she was to mentally review her day, blessing every aspect of herself, her body, her mind, her emotions, even her perceived failures. Within 2 weeks, she reported feeling lighter, more peaceful. By the end of the 30 days, manifestations began appearing in her life. Opportunities, relationships, resources that had previously been blocked by her self-rejection. The universe had been guiding her all along, reflecting her consciousness with perfect fidelity. As she changed her consciousness of self, the universe could at last deliver the greatness that had always been her birthright. Now, as we draw toward the conclusion of our discussion, let me emphasize a truth that many teachers of manifestation overlook. The purpose of manifestation is not merely the acquisition of things or experiences, but the expansion of consciousness. The universe guides you to greatness not so that you may accumulate possessions, but so that you may know yourself as the creator of your reality. Each desire fulfilled reveals more of your divine nature to you. Each manifestation confirms the law of consciousness and deepens your understanding of your true identity. This is the ultimate purpose of the manifestation process, self-realization. When you manifest from this understanding, your desires themselves transform. No longer do you seek things to fill a sense of lack. You manifest as a joyful expression of your abundance. No longer do you chase experiences to escape your present. You create as an extension of your fullness. This shift in consciousness, from manifesting to have, to manifesting to express, is the hallmark of spiritual maturity. The universe guides you to this maturity through the very process of fulfilling your desires. As you succeed in manifesting your wishes, you come to recognize the creative power that is your true essence. This recognition is the greatest manifestation of all. Let me leave you with this final thought. The universe, that infinite intelligence that pervades all things, guides you to greatness not through external signs or complicated rituals, but through the simple yet profound law of consciousness. What you are conscious of being, you must manifest. There is no exception to this law. Therefore, be conscious of greatness. Assume it, feel it, live from it now. Not as something to be achieved, but as the truth of who you already are. Fall asleep each night in the assumption of greatness fulfilled, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to express that greatness in your outer world. I am not asking you to believe me. I am asking you to test this law for yourself. For truth is never truly known until it is experienced. Take your most heartfelt desire, apply these principles faithfully for 30 days, and observe the results. The universe will guide you to the manifestation of that desire as surely as tomorrow's sun will rise. Remember always, imagination creates reality. Your consciousness is the one and only creative power. The universe guides you to greatness by responding precisely to your state of consciousness. Change your conception of self, and you change your world. Go now in the knowledge of your divine creative power. Go with the certainty that the universe guides you unfailing toward the expression of your greatness. Go in the awareness that the God of which I speak is your own wonderful human imagination, and through its conscious use, all things are possible to you. For the kingdom of heaven is within you, and the universe guides you to manifest that kingdom in all its glory, here and now, in your earthly experience. This is the promise. This is the law. This is the truth that sets you free. Consider this truth. Every moment of your waking consciousness is filled with self-talk. From the instant you arise in the morning until you surrender to sleep at night, you are engaged in constant inner dialogue. These conversations define your assumptions about yourself and the world, and your assumptions, whether you realize it or not, harden into fact. The first principle of accelerated manifestation through self-talk is this: you must become conscious of your unconscious conversations. For most of humanity, self-talk happens below the threshold of awareness. It is like breathing, constant yet unnoticed. But unlike breathing, which generally maintains a healthy rhythm without intervention, your self-talk, left unattended, often falls into patterns that contradict your desires. Begin today, begin this very moment to listen to yourself. What are you saying in the privacy of your mental chamber? Are you rehearsing limitations? Are you repeating tales of past failures? Are you affirming lack, repeating words of doubt, or reinforcing the condition you wish to transcend? This awareness is the first step toward tenfold acceleration of your manifestations. I have often told the story of the man who, walking along the streets of New York, constantly muttered to himself, "I do not have a penny in my pocket. I do not have a penny to my name." Day after day, this was his inner conversation. And not surprisingly, this remained his financial reality. His inner conversation was faithfully reproduced in his outer world. The law is absolute and knows no exceptions. Now imagine if this same man had revolutionized his self-talk. Imagine if, instead of affirming poverty, he had wisely chosen to whisper to himself, "I am wonderfully wealthy. Money flows to me easily and abundantly. I am financially secure and free." Practiced with the same consistency as his negative affirmations, these new assumptions would have transformed his financial reality with remarkable speed. But let me reveal to you the secret of tenfold manifestation. It is not merely the content of your self-talk that determines its power, but the feeling tone with which you imbue it. Words spoken inwardly without feeling are like seeds scattered on barren ground. They cannot take root and bear fruit. When you speak to yourself, you must speak with emotion, with conviction, with the absolute certainty that what you are affirming is already true. This is the fertile soil in which the seeds of your words will flourish. Feel the reality of your words as you speak them to yourself. Feel the naturalness of having what you declare. Let me illustrate this principle. If I desire financial abundance, I might say to myself, "I am financially free. Money comes to me easily." But if these words are spoken mechanically without the accompanying feeling of wealth, they remain impotent. Instead, I must speak these words while simultaneously feeling the relief, the security, the joy that financial freedom brings. I must feel the cool touch of abundance as I speak, taste its sweetness, revel in its reality, though my senses may deny it. This fusion of word and feeling is what I call impressed speech. It is speech that impresses itself upon the subconscious mind, speech that carries the full power of creative force. And it is through this impressed speech that you will manifest your desires with tenfold speed. The second principle of accelerated manifestation through self-talk is persistence. Your current reality was not created overnight. It is the product of years, perhaps decades of habitual thought and inner conversation. To transform this reality requires not a single affirmation, but a complete renovation of your mental habits. Begin by selecting a specific time each day dedicated solely to conscious self-talk. Morning upon waking and evening before sleep are particularly potent times, as your subconscious mind is most receptive during these transitional states. During these sacred sessions, engage in deliberate, feeling-filled conversations with yourself that affirm the fulfillment of your desire. Speak to yourself as though your desire were already accomplished. For instance, if perfect health is your aim, you might say, I am so grateful for my perfect health. Every cell in my body vibrates with energy and vitality. I am whole, I am strong, I am radiantly healthy. Take these words not as future aspirations, but as present facts, accompanied by the genuine feeling of robust health. But tenfold manifestation requires more than scheduled sessions. Throughout your day, be vigilant. When you catch yourself engaged in negative self-talk, and you will for old habits die hard gently, but firmly redirect your inner conversation. Replace statements of lack with statements of abundance. Replace fear with faith. Replace doubt with certainty. This continuous correction of your mental dialogue is essential for rapid manifestation. Now let me share with you a powerful technique that will accelerate your manifestations beyond measure. I call it the congratulatory conversation. Instead of merely speaking to yourself about your desire, create an inner dialogue in which you hear others congratulating you on having received it. If, for example, your desire is for a harmonious relationship, create within your mind a conversation with a friend who expresses joy at your newfound love. Hear their voice saying, I am so happy for you. You and your partner are perfect for each other. Your relationship is everything you've ever wanted. Feel the satisfaction of hearing these words. Reply within yourself, acknowledging this truth, thanking them for their kind words. These imaginal conversations, when conducted with feeling and persistence, possess extraordinary manifesting power. They impress upon your subconscious mind not only the fact of your desire's fulfillment, but also its social confirmation. There is something uniquely convincing to the subconscious when it experiences the testimony of others regarding your success. The third principle of accelerated manifestation through self-talk is what I term living from the end. Your self-talk must consistently reflect the consciousness of already being the person who has what you desire. This is not merely affirming that you will have your desire. It is assuming the identity of having already received it. Consider how you would speak to yourself if your desire were already fulfilled. What thoughts would occupy your mind? What would your inner dialogue sound like? The person who desires wealth thinks and speaks very differently from the person who is wealthy. The person seeking love engages in entirely different self-talk than the person who knows themselves to be deeply loved. To manifest tenfold faster, you must adopt the self-talk of your ideal self, the self for whom the desire is already realized. This requires a profound psychological shift. You are no longer speaking as one who seeks, you are speaking as one who has found. You are no longer speaking as one who lacks, you are speaking as one who possesses. Let me offer you a practical example. If your desire is for a particular position within your company, your accelerated self-talk might include statements such as, I am so grateful to hold this position. My work is valued and appreciated. I fulfill my responsibilities with ease and excellence. But beyond these affirmations, your entire inner dialogue should reflect the consciousness of already occupying this role. You would naturally think about the projects associated with the position. You would mentally address challenges from the perspective of already having the authority and responsibility of the role. Your inner conversations might include discussions with colleagues that would occur only if you held this position. In short, your entire self-talk architecture would be constructed upon the assumption of your desire's fulfillment. This total commitment to living from the end in your self-talk creates a psychological momentum that is unstoppable. The subconscious mind, bombarded consistently with the evidence of your desire's fulfillment, has no choice but to accept this new reality as fact and what the subconscious accepts as fact, it must express in your objective world. There is another dimension to accelerated manifestation through self-talk that few understand, yet it is perhaps the most powerful of all. I speak of what I call testimonial self-talk. This is the art of speaking to yourself about the process of manifestation itself, affirming not only your specific desires, but also your mastery of the law. Engage daily in inner conversations that affirm, I am a master manifestor. My word is law in my universe. What I decree within myself must come to pass in my world. My inner conversations shape my reality with perfect precision. This self-talk about your own manifesting power creates a compounding effect, accelerating all your specific manifestations. As you affirm your mastery of the law, you develop what I call manifesting confidence, a state of unshakable faith in your creative power. This confidence itself becomes a catalyst for faster manifestation. For doubt, that great antagonist of desire, cannot exist in the presence of true confidence. And when doubt is eliminated from your mental atmosphere, manifestation accelerates exponentially. Now, I wish to address a question that inevitably arises. What of those times when negative self-talk seems to overwhelm me? What of those moments when, despite my best efforts, my inner conversation spirals into fear and limitation? First, know that this is natural. You are undertaking a radical reformation of mental habits that have been established over a lifetime. There will be resistance. The old man will not go quietly. But in these moments of apparent failure lies a great opportunity for accelerated transformation. When you catch yourself engaged in negative self-talk, do not condemn yourself. Self-criticism only reinforces the very patterns you seek to transcend. Instead, simply observe the negative dialogue without judgment, then gently but firmly redirect it. This conscious intervention in your thought process is itself a powerful act of creation. In fact, I encourage you to develop what I call self-talk awareness. Several times throughout your day, stop and ask yourself, what was I just saying to myself? This simple practice will revolutionize your manifestation process. For what is unconscious cannot be changed, but what is brought into awareness comes under your creative control. There is a particular form of self-talk that possesses extraordinary manifesting power. I call it identity-based self-talk. Rather than merely affirming what you wish to have or experience, you affirm who you are. For having flows naturally from being. What you possess is always a reflection of who you are. Instead of saying, I have abundance, say, I am abundance. Instead of saying, I have perfect health, say, I am the embodiment of vitality. Instead of saying, I have a loving relationship, say, I am love itself expressed in human form. These identity statements strike at the very core of manifestation. For the fundamental law of consciousness is not that you attract what you want, but that you express what you are. As you speak to yourself in terms of essential identity rather than external possession, you trigger manifestation at its source. Think of it this way. A tree does not have to affirm, I have apples. The apple-producing nature is intrinsic to the tree's identity. The apples emerge naturally as an expression of what the tree is. Similarly, as you affirm and embody the identity that corresponds to your desire, the external manifestations of that identity must follow as naturally as fruit follows from the tree's nature. Another powerful accelerant for manifestation through self-talk is what I term gratitude speech. This is the practice of speaking to yourself with profound thankfulness for your desire as though it were already fulfilled. Gratitude is the highest frequency of consciousness, and when your self-talk is saturated with genuine gratitude, manifestation occurs with astonishing speed. Your inner conversation might include phrases such as, how wonderfully my life has unfolded. I am so deeply grateful for this magnificent experience. Thank you, Father, for this perfect expression of my desire. Speak these words not as mechanical affirmations, but as the natural overflow of a heart filled with genuine appreciation. The feeling of gratitude and the words of gratitude, when combined in your self-talk, create a magnetic force that draws your desire into manifestation with tenfold speed. For the universe responds not to what you want, but to what you deeply appreciate. Gratitude is both the seal and the acceleration of the manifestation process. Now, Let me share with you a technique for self-talk that few know, but that possesses remarkable power. I call it decreeing from the omniscient perspective. This is self-talk that transcends your personal identity and speaks from the viewpoint of the divine itself. Instead of saying, I, John Smith, am successful, you would say, it is done. Success is expressed through this being called John Smith. The divine pattern of abundance now manifests in this life. This form of self-talk aligns you with the creative power of the universe itself. You are no longer speaking merely as a personality, but as the divine principle expressing through your individuality. This subtle shift in the perspective of your self-talk creates a profound acceleration in the manifestation process. For you are no longer affirming from limitation, but decreeing from omnipotence. You are speaking not merely as the recipient of the desire, but as the very source from which all desires are fulfilled. Another dimension of accelerated manifestation through self-talk involves what I call sensory self-talk. This is inner conversation that deliberately engages all your senses, creating a multi-dimensional impression upon the subconscious mind. For instance, if your desire is for a particular home, your self-talk might include, I love the feel of the smooth marble countertops beneath my fingertips. The fragrance of jasmine from the garden fills the air. The sound of the fountain in the courtyard is so soothing. The view of the mountains from my bedroom window takes my breath away. By engaging all senses in your self-talk, you create a vivid virtual reality within your consciousness. This multisensory impression carries far greater manifesting power than abstract affirmations alone. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between vividly imagined sensory experiences and actual physical experiences. Both impress it equally and serve as seed forms for manifestation. The power of your self-talk can be further amplified through what I term emotional escalation. Begin your inner conversation at your current emotional state, then gradually intensify the feeling tone until you reach a state of absolute conviction and joy. For example, if you currently feel some doubt about your financial situation, you might begin with, I am beginning to see improvements in my financial life. Small indications of increasing prosperity are appearing. From this modest beginning, escalate to, my financial situation is rapidly transforming. Evidence of abundance surrounds me. Finally culminate with, I am established in absolute prosperity. Wealth flows to me continuously and effortlessly from expected and unexpected sources. This gradual emotional escalation in your self-talk feels more natural and convincing to your subconscious mind than an immediate leap from lack to unlimited abundance. It creates a psychological bridge between your current state and your desired state, allowing for smoother and faster manifestation. I now wish to share with you what may be the most powerful technique for accelerated manifestation through self-talk. I call it the divine dialogue. This is the practice of creating an inner conversation between your human self and your divine self. In this sacred dialogue, you might begin by expressing your desire as your human self. I wish to experience perfect health and boundless energy. Then, assuming the consciousness of your divine self, you would reply, it is done. You are the perfect expression of divine vitality. The life force flows through you without obstruction. You are whole, perfect, and complete. This divine dialogue carries extraordinary manifesting power because it acknowledges the true source of all manifestation, the divine self within you. By creating this conversation between your finite self and your infinite self, you establish a direct channel through which your desire can manifest with remarkable speed. The accelerated manifestation that comes through mastery of self-talk is not merely about acquiring things or experiences. It is about the transformation of consciousness itself. As you cultivate the art of speaking to yourself from the state of wish fulfilled, you undergo a profound metamorphosis. Your entire relationship with reality changes. You no longer view yourself as a supplicant, begging the universe for favors. You recognize yourself as the creator of your experience, speaking worlds into being through the divine power of your word. This shift in self-concept is the greatest gift of this practice, far transcending any specific manifestation. Many seekers ask me, Neville, how long must I practice this self-talk before my desire manifests? I tell them this, the time required for manifestation is directly proportional to the naturalness of the state you are affirming. When your inner conversation regarding your desire feels as natural and unquestioned as your name, manifestation is imminent. Tenfold acceleration comes not from intensity, but from consistency and naturalness. A single moment of absolutely convinced self-talk carries more manifesting power than months of mechanical affirmations. Therefore, focus not on duration, but on achieving the feeling of naturalness in your new self-talk patterns. There is a phenomenon I have observed in the manifestation process that few understand. I call it the bridge of incidents. Between your current state and the fulfillment of your desire lies a series of seemingly unrelated events that create a bridge to your manifestation. Your task is not to construct this bridge consciously, but to allow it to unfold naturally. Your self-talk should never concern itself with how your desire will manifest. The moment you begin to speak to yourself about methods, means, and processes, you introduce limitation. The infinite intelligence that responds to your self-talk knows paths and possibilities beyond your conscious comprehension. Speak only of the end, the fulfillment, the completion. Let your inner conversation dwell exclusively on the reality of your desire accomplished. The bridge of incidents will then construct itself perfectly, often in ways that will astonish you with their ingenuity and perfection. Many students of manifestation fail to achieve their desires because their self-talk is contaminated with what I call contradictory frequencies. They affirm abundance in one moment, then speak to themselves of limitations in the next. They declare perfect health, then anxiously rehearse symptoms. This oscillation creates a conflicted signal that neutralizes manifestation. To manifest tenfold faster, yourself must achieve coherence, a unified, consistent message that contains no contradictions. This requires vigilance. Each time you catch yourself in contradictory self-talk, gently but firmly redirect your inner conversation back to the truth of your desire fulfilled. Over time, with practice, your self-talk will achieve a state of perfect coherence. When every word you speak to yourself aligns with your desire, when no contradictory thought finds harbor in your mind, manifestation occurs with breathtaking speed. For the universe responds not to intermittent signals, but to consistent broadcast frequencies. Now let me address those among you who have practiced affirmations and positive self-talk, yet seen little result. The missing element is likely not in your words, but in your concept of self. Your self-talk emerges from your self-concept. If you see yourself as small, limited, unworthy, then affirmations of greatness will seem like lies regardless of how many times you repeat them. Therefore, the most fundamental transformation must occur at the level of self-concept. Begin by speaking to yourself about yourself in the grandest terms. I am one with the divine creator of the universe. I am a perfect expression of infinite intelligence. I am worthy of all that I desire. I am the operant power in my reality. As this elevated self-concept takes root through persistent self-talk, all specific manifestations become not merely possible, but inevitable. For what you get is always in alignment with who you believe yourself to be. Transform your concept of self through conscious self-talk, and you transform the entirety of your manifested reality. There is a particular rhythm to self-talk that accelerates manifestation dramatically. I call it the Trinity pattern. This pattern mimics the divine creative process itself: declaration, contemplation, and gratitude. Begin with declaration: I am now experiencing perfect health. Move to contemplation: how wonderful it feels to be so vibrantly alive, so energetic, so perfectly well. Conclude with gratitude: thank you, Father, for this perfect expression of wholeness through me. This Trinity pattern: declare, contemplate, give thanks, creates a complete circuit of creative energy. Practice it in your self-talk, and you will witness manifestation occurring with tenfold speed. For you are aligning yourself with the very rhythm of divine creation. Another powerful technique for accelerated manifestation is what I call scripted self-talk. Rather than improvising your inner conversations, consciously compose specific scripts that you will repeat in your mind. These scripts should be carefully crafted to express your desire in the most natural and compelling language. Write these scripts as though you were creating dialogue for a player. Players are the protagonist who has already achieved the desired state. Memorize these scripts and rehearse them in your mind throughout the day. This deliberate, pre-composed self-talk carries focused intention that significantly accelerates the manifestation process. Many seekers underestimate the power of questions in the art of self-talk. the questions you ask yourself, your consciousness as powerfully as any affirmation. To manifest tenfold faster, transform the questions you pose to yourself. Instead of asking, why can't I achieve this? Ask, why is it so easy for me to manifest this desire? Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what is uniquely perfect about the way I am creating my reality? Instead of asking, when will this happen? Ask, why is it happening so perfectly right now? These empowering questions direct your mind towards solutions, possibilities, and evidence of your desire's fulfillment. They create an inner environment conducive to rapid manifestation, for the mind will diligently seek answers to whatever questions you pose to it, whether limiting or liberating. I wish now to address what may be the greatest obstacle to accelerated manifestation, the habit of self-criticism. Many seekers sabotage their desires through harsh, judgmental self-talk. They set an intention, attempt to affirm it, then berate themselves for every perceived failure or delay. This critical self-talk is the most effective manifestation blocker imaginable. It keeps you imprisoned in the very states you wish to transcend. To manifest tenfold faster, you must commit to speaking to yourself with unwavering compassion and encouragement. When you fall into old patterns of negative self-talk, do not add to the negativity by criticizing yourself for being negative. Simply observe without judgment and gently redirect. Speak to yourself as you would to a deeply beloved child, with patience, understanding, and absolute faith in your capacity to grow and transform. This compassionate self-talk creates a psychological environment in which manifestation can flourish. For manifestation is not merely a mechanical process, but a flowering of consciousness. And like all living things, consciousness flourishes not under harsh criticism, but under loving nurture. There exists a state of consciousness that transcends even the most skillful self-talk. I call it the silence. This is the state in which all inner dialogue ceases and you rest in pure awareness. In this silence, you commune directly with the creative principle itself, beyond words, beyond affirmations, beyond techniques. Paradoxically, regularly entering this silence accelerates the effectiveness of your self-talk when you return to it. For in the silence, you reconnect with the source from which all words derive their power. Your self-talk, following periods of deep silence, carries the freshness and potency of direct contact with the divine. Therefore, incorporate into your practice regular periods where you consciously set aside all self-talk and enter the silence. These need not be extended periods. Even a few moments of true inner silence can reset your entire manifestation process and accelerate it tremendously. As we approach the conclusion of our discussion, I wish to emphasize a truth often overlooked. The ultimate purpose of conscious self-talk is to transform your unconscious self-talk. The words you deliberately speak to yourself are like seeds planted in the soil of your subconscious. With proper cultivation, these seeds grow into automatic thought patterns that continue to create on your behalf without conscious effort. True mastery is achieved when your spontaneous unconscious self-talk naturally aligns with your desires. At this stage, you need no longer vigilantly monitor and correct your inner dialogue. Your habitual thought patterns automatically support your manifestations. This is the state of effortless creation, where manifestation occurs tenfold faster because the entirety of your mental activity, conscious and unconscious, moves in unified harmony toward your desires. Until you reach this state of complete reformation of the unconscious, persist in your conscious practice. Each deliberate thought, each intentional inner conversation contributes to the transformation of your mental habits. Day by day, your natural self-talk will increasingly reflect the consciousness of your desires fulfilled. In closing, I offer you this promise: master the art of self-talk, and you master the art of living. For your inner conversations are the very substance of your existence, the clay from which your experiences are molded. Speak to yourself from the state of wish fulfilled, with feeling, with persistence, with unwavering faith, and you will manifest your desires with a speed and perfection that will astonish you. Begin now, in this very moment. Initiate the inner conversation that affirms the reality you wish to experience. Feel its truth, revel in its accomplishment, give thanks for its expression. For in truth, the moment you can speak to yourself with absolute conviction from the state of wish fulfilled, the manifestation is already complete in the realm of causation. Its appearance in the world of effects is but a matter of time. The power is within you. The creative word is on your tongue and in your mind. Speak it with authority. Listen to yourself with belief. And watch as your world transforms with tenfold speed. For you are the master of your inner conversation, and therefore the master of your destiny. Consider for a moment, when you entered this room tonight, you saw chairs, walls, other people. You believe these things to be real, to exist outside of yourself. But may I tell you that you have never seen anything outside of your own consciousness. You have never in all your life seen anything but the contents of your own magnificent mind. Everything you perceive is a mental activity within you, projected outward and seeming to be external and independent of your perception. This may seem startling at first. You may object and say, but Neville, I see other people. I touch physical objects. How can you say these exist within my consciousness? I am not denying the existence of the world you perceive. I am telling you where that perception takes place within you. The images, the sensations, the entire drama of life unfolds within the screen of your consciousness. Let me illustrate this principle with a simple experiment we can do together. Close your eyes for a moment. Now, with your eyes closed, think of your home. See the front door, the familiar rooms, the furniture that you know so well. You are seeing it now, are you not? But where are you seeing it? Not with your physical eyes, for they are closed. You are seeing it within your consciousness. That mental image seems so much less real than what you see with your open eyes. But I tell you, they are the same in substance. Both are acts of consciousness. The difference is in intensity, not in kind. Your consciousness is the one and only reality. And your consciousness is God. I am is the name of God, the creator of all that is. When you say I am, you are expressing the creative power of the universe. Now, knowing that all things exist within your consciousness, can you see the principle more clearly? You must see for yourself first. You must first construct within your own imagination the state that you desire to express. For your own wonderful human imagination is the very gateway to worlds beyond this one worlds of infinite possibility. And these worlds are not remote or separate from you. They exist now within you, simply awaiting your recognition. Let me share a story from my own experience. Many years ago, I found myself in need of a sum of money, $1,500 to be exact. This was in the 1940s, when such an amount was quite substantial. Rather than worrying or struggling, I applied this principle. As I retired for the night, I closed my eyes and constructed a scene in my imagination. I imagined my good friend handing me a check for exactly $1,500. I felt the paper between my fingers. I saw his smile as he gave it to me. I heard his voice congratulating me. And most importantly, I felt the relief and satisfaction of having received this money. I did this for several nights, always falling asleep in this imagined state. Did it instantly materialize? No. But I persisted in seeing it first within myself. Then, about 3 weeks later, this very friend called me unexpectedly. We met, and to my amazement, though not to my surprise, for I had seen it first, he handed me a check for exactly $1,500. He had sold a piece of property in which we had a mutual interest, and this was my share. Now, was this mere coincidence? Test it for yourself, and you will discover there are no coincidences. There is only the law that your consciousness is the only reality, and what you conceive within it must objectify itself in your world. The Bible, properly understood, is not telling the history of ancient peoples. It is revealing the story of your own consciousness. When it tells you whatsoever things ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them, it is giving you the secret of creation. You must first believe you have received. You must see for yourself first. Most of humanity has this process backwards. They believe that seeing is believing. They say, when I see it in my world, then I will believe it. But I tell you, the truth is exactly opposite. Believing is seeing. What you first believe and conceive in consciousness will then appear in your world to be seen by your physical eyes. Consider the great inventors, artists, and visionaries throughout history. Did they not all see their creations first within their minds? Edison saw the electric light before it was a physical reality. Beethoven heard symphonies when he was physically deaf. The Wright brothers saw man flying when all evidence contradicted the possibility. They all applied the same principle, whether knowingly or unknowingly. They saw for themselves first. You are doing this every day, every moment, but you are doing it unconsciously without direction. Your present circumstances, whatever they may be, were first conceived and accepted in your consciousness. If you are experiencing limitation or lack, it is because that is what you have seen for yourself first. If you are experiencing abundance and joy, it is for the same reason. But here is the wonderful news, my dear friends. You can consciously direct this process. You can deliberately select the state you wish to occupy in consciousness, and these states, through a series of events that you need not concern yourself with, will objectify themselves in your world. This is why you must be so careful of your inner conversations, the mental discussions you have with yourself and others when you are alone. These conversations are the building blocks of your future experiences. When you say to yourself, I can't afford this, or this always happens to me, or they will never approve my application, you are seeing for yourself first, but you are seeing what you do not wish to experience. Instead, construct inner conversations that support your desires. If you wish for prosperity, hear yourself saying, I am so grateful for my abundant life. If you desire health, feel yourself saying with conviction, I am wonderfully well. If you seek a loving relationship, hear the congratulations of friends on your perfect union. Now, there is a particular art to this seeing for yourself first, and that is the art of feeling. You must not merely visualize or think about your desire. You must feel it as a present reality. For feeling is the secret, the very soul of your desire. When you imagine your desire fulfilled, ask yourself, how would I feel if this were true right now? Then capture that feeling. Is it relief? Is it satisfaction? Is it joy? Is it gratitude? Whatever it is, intensify it. For it is this feeling that gives life to your mental image. Without feeling, your mental pictures are sterile and lifeless. Let me tell you of a lady who attended my lecture some years ago. She had been separated from her husband for many years, with no communication between them. After hearing me speak on this principle, she decided to see for herself first a loving reunion with her husband. Each night before sleep, she would imagine herself sitting beside him, feeling his hand in hers, hearing his voice expressing love and reconciliation. She persisted in this, feeling it as real for about 2 months. Then, out of the blue, she received a letter from her husband, initiating contact for the first time in years. Within 6 months, they had completely reconciled and were living together again in perfect harmony. She had not taken any physical steps to contact him. She had only seen for herself first in the theater of her own mind. Some of you might be thinking, but Neville, I have tried to imagine good things, and they haven't happened. May I suggest that you have not really seen it first? You have thought about it, wished for it, hoped for it, but you have not occupied the state in consciousness. You have not felt the naturalness of it. You have not believed you have received it. There is a vast difference between thinking of something and thinking from something. When you think of something, it remains external to you, something to be attained in the future. But when you think from something, you occupy that state now, in the present moment of consciousness. And since your consciousness is the only reality, what you are conscious of being, you are. The Bible puts it this way, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This transformation is not a physical process. It is a shift in consciousness. When you renew your mind, when you change what you are conscious of being, your entire world changes to reflect this new consciousness. Let me be very clear on this point. You are not trying to change things in the outer world. You are changing your conception of yourself. For the world is yourself pushed out. All that you behold, though it appears to be outside you, is within you. Your consciousness is the reality from which all things spring. If you are not satisfied with your current conditions, do not try to change them. Change your conception of yourself, and the conditions will change to match this new conception. It is the height of folly to attempt to change circumstances before you change your consciousness. That would be like trying to make your reflection in the mirror smile by manipulating the reflection. You must smile first, and then the reflection will smile back at you. See for yourself first the person you wish to be, and you will become that person. See for yourself first the relationships you wish to have, and those relationships will form around you. See for yourself first the abundance you wish to express, and that abundance will flow into your life. Now, some practical advice on how to apply this principle. The most effective time to see for yourself first is just before sleep. As you lie in bed, your mind and body begin to relax, and you become more receptive to suggestion. In this drowsy state, construct a short scene that would imply your desires already fulfilled. Make it as real and as natural as possible. For instance, if your desire is for a promotion at work, you might imagine a colleague congratulating you on your new position. Feel their handshake, hear their words, experience your own sense of pride and accomplishment. Then, allow yourself to fall asleep in this state. Why is this so effective? Because in sleep, your conscious reasoning mind is subdued, and your subconscious mind is most receptive. What you impress upon your subconscious mind just before sleep will work its way through the deeper levels of your consciousness and emerge as conditions and events in your outer world. Remember, your subconscious mind does not reason or argue. It simply accepts what you present to it through feeling and persistent imagination. It then works day and night to bring about the conditions necessary for the objectification of your mental image. But you need not limit this practice to the moments before sleep. Throughout your day, whenever you have a quiet moment, close your eyes and see for yourself first the reality you wish to express. Make it a habit to live from the end. Act as though your desire is already fulfilled. How would you walk, talk, and behave if your desire were now a fact? Assume this state in consciousness, and you will be amazed at how quickly it objectifies. Many of you have tried affirmations, positive thinking, visualization, have been disappointed with the results. The reason is simple. These techniques often remain at the surface level of mind. They do not penetrate to the subconscious where all change must take place. But when you see for yourself first with feeling, when you occupy the state in consciousness, you are operating at the causal level of experience. Let me share another personal story. Many years ago, I found myself in what appeared to be an impossible situation. I was in the United States, having left my home in Barbados, and I desperately wanted to be honorably discharged from military service so that I could continue my spiritual work. But I had no connections, no influence, and conventional wisdom would say no chance of receiving such a discharge. Instead of accepting these so-called facts, I applied the principle we are discussing tonight. Each night I would see for myself first the scene of receiving my honorable discharge papers. I would feel the texture of the document, see the official signatures, and experience the profound relief and gratitude of being free to pursue my calling. Within a matter of weeks, through a series of events that no one could have predicted or orchestrated, I received exactly what I had imagined, an honorable discharge from military service. The outer circumstances rearranged themselves to conform to what I had seen for myself first. Now here is an important point. When you see for yourself first, do not be concerned with the how of its fulfillment. The how is not your concern. Your imagination creates the what. The infinite intelligence within you will determine the how. If you try to figure out how your desire will be realized, you will often limit or block its expression. Your logical mind can only conceive of ways based on past experience. But the creative power of the universe is not limited by your past experiences. This is why so many seemingly miraculous events occur when you correctly apply this principle. Doors open that you did not know existed. People appear who are instrumental in fulfilling your desire. Resources become available that were previously hidden from you. All because you have set in motion the creative law through seeing for yourself first. The Bible tells us faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is a perfect description of what we are discussing. When you see for yourself first in imagination with feeling, you are giving substance to your hope. You are creating the evidence within before it appears without. Some of you may be thinking, this sounds like self-deception. How can I see myself as wealthy when my bank account shows little money? How can I see myself as healthy when my body shows symptoms of illness? This is not self-deception. This is understanding the true creative process. All creation begins in consciousness. Your outer world is simply reflecting back to you what you have already accepted as real in your inner world. So when you change your inner acceptance, when you see for yourself first a new state, you are not denying reality, you are creating a new reality. I am reminded of the biblical story of the centurion who came to Jesus asking for healing for his servant. Jesus offered to come to his home, but the centurion replied, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. Jesus marveled at his understanding and said, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And the servant was healed in that same hour. What was the centurion's great understanding? He recognized that all power was in the word, in consciousness. He did not need physical intervention. He knew that what was established in consciousness would manifest in experience. This is exactly what it means to see for yourself first. Now, patience is sometimes required when applying this principle. Though I have witnessed many instantaneous manifestations, often there is a period between your inner acceptance and its outer expression. This interval is what tests the faith of many seekers. They begin to doubt, to question whether this law really works. But remember, there is no failure in this principle. What you have accepted in consciousness must objectify itself. It is law. If your desire has not yet appeared in your world, it is not because the principle has failed. It simply has not yet fully flowered into expression. Continue to see for yourself first the fulfillment of your desire, and in a way you may not now know, it will manifest. The Bible puts it beautifully, in due season we shall reap, if we fade not. Do not grow weary in your spiritual practice. Do not abandon your vision because it has not immediately appeared. Keep seeing for yourself first with faith and feeling, and your harvest is assured. I would also caution you about one thing: be careful what you ask for. Remember, this principle works with absolute precision. What you see for yourself first, you will experience. So make sure that what you are imagining is truly what you desire to experience. Many people unconsciously imagine fearful scenarios, worrying about what might go wrong, visualizing failure or rejection. And then they are surprised when these very experiences manifest in their lives. They do not realize they have been using the creative principle in reverse. They have been seeing for themselves first exactly what they do not want. A woman once told me that she always seemed to attract dishonest partners. When we discussed her inner talking, it became clear that she constantly imagined conversations where she accused men of lying to her. She was seeing for herself first the very experience she did not want, and her outer world faithfully reflected this inner vision. When she changed her inner conversations to reflect trust and honest communication, her experiences with men changed dramatically. She soon entered a relationship built on mutual trust and respect, something she had never known before. This brings me to another important aspect of seeing for yourself first. You must persist until your new vision feels natural to you. In the beginning, it may feel false or forced to imagine yourself in a state that contradicts your current experience. But with persistence, what initially seemed unnatural will begin to feel increasingly normal and right. When your imaginal act feels completely natural, when there is no longer any conflict between what you are seeing for yourself first and your self-concept, then you can be certain that its manifestation is assured. For what feels natural to you defines what you consider yourself to be, and what you consider yourself to be must express itself in your world. Let me illustrate this with another personal experience. I once desired to travel to Barbados to visit my family, but I had no money for the journey. Rather than focusing on the lack of funds, I began to see for myself first the joy of being reunited with my family. I imagined sleeping in my own bed in Barbados. I felt the tropical breeze on my skin. I heard the familiar voices of my loved ones. I did this night after night until it felt completely natural, until there was no strain in the imagining. Within a matter of weeks, I received a letter containing money that was owed to me from an unexpected source, exactly the amount needed for my passage to Barbados. The outer circumstances conformed to what had become natural in my consciousness. This is the pattern you will discover when you apply this principle consistently. What you persist in seeing for yourself first with feeling and faith will harden into fact in your outer experience. The seed planted in consciousness will bear fruit in accordance with its kind. Now, what about those desires that seem particularly challenging or beyond your current circumstances? Perhaps you seek healing from a chronic condition or reconciliation in a relationship that seems irreparably damaged, or success in a field where you have previously failed. The principle remains exactly the same. You must see for yourself first. In cases that seem especially difficult, I recommend the technique of revision. At the end of each day, before you sleep, review the events that did not go as you would have wished. Then, in your imagination, revise them. See them not as they were, but as you would have liked them to be. Feel the naturalness and reality of this revised version. Then sleep in the consciousness of this corrected image. This practice accomplishes two important things. First, it prevents negative states from being impressed upon your subconscious mind as you sleep. Second, it teaches you that the past exists only in consciousness and can be altered there. As you revise the day, you are literally changing your past by changing your memory of it. And since all time exists in the eternal now of consciousness, these changes will influence both your future and what appears to be your past. I know a man who had been estranged from his son for many years. After learning this principle, he began to revise their relationship each night. In his imagination, he heard his son's voice expressing love and forgiveness. He felt the warmth of his son's embrace. He constructed complete scenes of harmonious interaction between them. Within 3 months, he received a phone call from his son, the first in over 7 years. Within 6 months, they had fully reconciled and now share a loving relationship. The man had changed the pattern in consciousness, and the outer circumstances had no choice but to reflect this inner change. Some of you may wonder about the morality of using your imagination to influence others. Let me be clear, you are not manipulating others when you see for yourself first a harmonious relationship. You are simply changing your conception of the relationship, and the other person is free to respond to this changed conception according to their own inner nature. Remember, there is only one consciousness fragmented into seemingly separate beings. When you change your consciousness regarding a relationship, you are changing the only place where that relationship truly exists within consciousness itself. The other person will then respond according to their own internal state and free will, but within the new framework you have established in consciousness. Another question that often arises is, what about collective events and conditions that affect many people? Can I still apply this principle? The answer is unequivocally yes. Though it may seem that world events are beyond your control, remember that you experience these events only in your consciousness. Change your consciousness of them, and you change your experience of them. If there appears to be lack in the world, see for yourself first a state of abundance. If there appears to be conflict, see for yourself first a state of harmony. Your individual consciousness is far more powerful than you may realize. As you change the state that you occupy, you contribute to the transformation of the collective state. This does not mean you ignore the apparent suffering in the world. It means you refuse to give it power in your consciousness. Instead, you see for yourself first the solution, the healing, the resolution. And to the degree that you can make this vision real and natural in your consciousness, to that degree you will experience it in your world. I am often asked, Neville, how long must I persist in seeing for myself first before my desire manifests? There is no fixed time frame. Some desires manifest instantly, others require more persistent effort. The determining factor is not time, but intensity of feeling and naturalness of the imagined state. When your imaginal act is performed with such vivid intensity that it takes on the tone of reality, when it feels more real to you than the evidence of your senses, its manifestation is imminent. This is what the Bible means by the fullness of time. When consciousness is full, the feeling of your wish fulfilled, its expression in your outer world is assured. Let me emphasize once more, you are not trying to get something. You are assuming that you already have it. This is the great secret. The feeling of having precedes the thing had. First, you must possess it in consciousness. Then you will express it in experience. This is why Jesus taught, therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Note the sequence. First believe you have received, then you will have. This is seen for yourself first. Now, some practical suggestions for those of you who are new to this principle. Begin with something that does not evoke strong resistance in your consciousness. Choose a desire that seems at least possible to your reasoning mind. As you experience success with these smaller manifestations, your confidence will grow. And you can apply the principle to increasingly challenging situations. When you construct your scene in imagination, make it as simple and as natural as possible. Do not try to visualize the entire process leading to your goal. Rather, select a short scene that would imply your desire is already fulfilled. If your goal is a promotion, do not try to visualize every step of the process. Instead, imagine a colleague congratulating you after the fact. Make your imaginal scene as vivid as possible. Engage all your senses. If you are imagining a new home, feel the doorknob in your hand, hear the sound of your footsteps on the floor, smell the freshness of the air, see the play of light through the windows. The more sensory detail you can bring to your imaginal act, the more powerful its impact on your subconscious mind. And above all, capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled. How would you feel if your desire were now a fact? Would you feel relieved, joyful, grateful, secure? Whatever that feeling is, evoke it as you see for yourself first the fulfillment of your desire. For feeling is the secret, the very soul of manifestation. Remember, you are not trying to convince yourself of something against your better judgment. You are not engaged in wishful thinking or autosuggestion. You are operating according to the fundamental creative law of the universe. Consciousness is the only reality, and what you are conscious of being, you become. See for yourself first is not merely a technique for getting things. It is the revelation of how all things come into being. It is understanding the creative process itself. When you see for yourself first in imagination the state you desire to express, you are doing what the divine within you does in every act of creation, experiencing the reality before it becomes visible. In closing, let me share with you one more personal experience. Many years ago, I desired to speak to large audiences about these spiritual principles. At the time, I was unknown, with no platform and no connections in the lecture circuit. But I began to see for yourself first. I would fall asleep night after night, imagining myself standing before packed auditoriums, sharing these truths with receptive listeners. I felt the solidity of the podium beneath my hands. I heard the attentive silence as I spoke. I felt the deep satisfaction of communicating ideas that transformed lives. I persisted in this vision until it felt completely natural, until I could not remember a time when I had not been a successful lecturer. And then, through a series of seemingly chance encounters that I could never have planned or orchestrated, doors began to open. I received invitations to speak, first to small groups, then to increasingly larger audiences. Today, as you well know, I speak regularly to capacity crowds across the country. What I first saw in consciousness has become my physical reality. This same creative process is available to each of you. Your consciousness is God, the only creative power in the universe. What you see for yourself first, with feeling and persistence, must objectify itself in your world. This is not positive thinking or wishful dreaming. This is the revelation of how the universe works, how all things come into being. So, my dear wonderful friends, go out determined to see for yourself first the life you desire to live. See it with the eye of imagination, feel it with the heart of faith, accept it with the mind of understanding. And then watch as the outer world reshapes itself to match your inner vision. For that is the promise, be it to you according to your faith.